Marshall coming?
I have not heard from Marshall. But we can move on.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let the roll call show all present. We do have a quorum. Can I have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make the motion.
Been moved by Councilman Weaver.
I'll second it.
Approve the agenda, second by Councilwoman Hartke. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion carried, all in the affirmative. Any communication from citizens?
Hi, my name's Teresa Taylor. And I have a couple questions. In January of this year, you put together an economic development committee.
Correct.
I was wondering if they've ever met.
We are planning to have a meeting this month.
Okay, and that was one question I had. I'd like to read a letter to the mayor and council. First of all, I'd like to remind the council, the governing body, that you guys are responsible for holding yourself and each other accountable for your actions. When I heard that the $90 raise increase with senior housing, I was very upset. I went to a council member to ask questions and to voice my concerns. At that time, I also commented that the seniors will not speak up out of fear of retaliation. I put together a public records request so I could see why such a need for a huge increase. I also had a chance to talk with Chris about this when he delivered it to my house that I requested the records. In July 26th council meeting, senior housing rent increase was discussed. The mayor reported that he and Chris had met with most of the seniors, and they were all on board except for one. On July 29th, the mayor signed a 30-day eviction notice, and Chris and another officer served that notice on Verna Barings, Wanda Wise's mother. I was told if she had any questions to talk to the mayor. I'd asked myself why she would get an eviction notice after living there for 5 years. She had always paid her rent on time. She kept her apartment clean and damage-free, didn't have any wild parties with drinking and drugs. So that left one thing. She's a strong woman who stands up for herself and expresses her opinions and has freedom of speech. That should not be any reason to evict a person out of their home. Mayor, by your intimidation, manipulation, retaliation, and bullying, you have evicted and put fear in the hearts of the seniors at that housing. Your retaliation and bullying sent a message that they cannot stand up and express their opinions in fear of losing their homes, as you set an example on July 29th with Verna Barings. This has made me so mad, sick, and saddened to think that a person in your authority would do something like this. If the governing body does not stand up and hold him accountable for his actions of manipulation, intimidation, retaliation, and bullying, and to put in place a policy where this can never happen again to anyone else, then you are no better than he is. I will expect, by me speaking up, that there will not be no retaliation, intimidation, bullying, towards the tenants of the senior housing and any of their family or me or any of my family. Thank you.
There's somebody there who wanted to talk to you.
Thank you, Teresa, for your comments. As far as I know, the town has no policy on eviction. They went by state statute. That's all I can answer. So how they did it. And I had no idea what was happening.
By state statute.
The copy of the letter that I saw from Mrs. Barron's, it's said based upon state statutes. Those statutes were not listed in the letter that I saw.
I don't know anything about it.
You guys need to-
I do now. Guess we'll have to decide if we want to discuss that later in the meeting or not, or maybe we don't. I don't know.
Without discussing with our attorney, I do not want to violate any of the past tenants' rights or disclose. I don't know. Personally, I don't know what we can disclose on that's legal. But I will say that we consulted our attorney prior to eviction. And I'll just leave it at that.
That's sad.
Then I make a motion that would add for our next council meeting in August, the topic of senior housing and evictions town's policy.
I would say also the policy is in the lease agreements and terms and conditions of the lease.
So we have policy already. It just hasn't been.
Through the lease.
So I've never seen a lease like they're not getting.
This is just the first time it's happened. Yeah. So it's always existed, but it's just come to fruition.
So are they still doing this lease that Chris you gave me?
Excuse me?
The lease that you gave me? A copy of the lease agreement for the tenants that you gave me?
That was the former lease that has expired, so the new one's been updated and changed.
When did that change?
July 1st, or actually August 1st, sorry.
August 1st?
Mhm.
After the eviction,
Correct.
so she was still under this lease, right?
Yes.
There's a part in there about the landlord.
If you wanted to,
termination.
I'll give you a little longer if you want, but please stand up.
Any termination of this agreement by the landlord must be carried out in accordance to the federal, state, and local laws and the terms of this agreement. The landlord may terminate this agreement only by tenant's material noncompliance with the terms of this lease, the tenant's material failure to carry out obligations under any state landlord and tenant act, or criminal activities that threatens the health, safety, and the peaceful enjoyment of the premises by the tenant for any drug-related criminal activities on or near the premises engaged by the tenant or any member of the tenant's household or guests or any person that under the tenant's control. The term of material noncompliance with the lease includes one or more substantial violations of this lease, repeat minor violations of this lease, disruption of livability of the project, adverse effects of health and safety of any person or the right of any tenant to the quiet enjoyment of the leased premises and related project facilities. Interferes with the management of the project. Or have,
Teresa, I was just allowing you a comment. We're not going to go read the whole lease and try to debate it here.
Okay.
I would suggest the leasee has any questions that she actually do come and talk to the mayor. She has any complaints, she put them in writing and submit them to the town of Shoshoni. But only thing I can say, everything was done according to law, was legal. We talked with our legal counsel before any move was made. And like I said, I don't want to debate the merits of why it was in this debate, the merits of why this was. And I want to make sure I'm not infringing on any of the leasees' rights or so that there again, everything was done legal and justified.
Sad. I'm sorry.
Anyway, we can't go there anymore. So anything else from the audience?
Tasha's gonna talk.
Tasha.
You want to speak?
Sorry, we just found a kitten and we didn't have a place for him. I apologize, but I don't know if it's okay to bring him in.
I'll just
Kind of
bring it in.
noisy.
She come in for a minute.
It's a service animal, right?
Yeah,
Service.
But now
I
you're,
just got it 5 minutes ago, so
well, you're up to bat before we move on to the meeting.
I
so.
apologize, guys. We just
You're
found a
fine.
kitten. Okay. Hi, guys. How are you today? So I'm here to see if I could get a trailer moved. When I talked to you last time, I asked Mr. DeWitt to get a letterhead statement saying that he checked our electricity. I haven't received that, so I don't know what to do.
If we need to ensure that the trailer meets all standards to be moved. If you have time to drop by, have you looked at setting it on a foundation?
No.
But if you have time, I can try to give you some ideas to help make that happen for you.
Okay.
But
'cause
we
it's-
have certain rules we have to follow. And that's, but if there's potential funding to help you do that,
Oh, really?
yes.
Oh,
If you stop by, you get a chance tomorrow, something like that, I'd like to go over that with you and see,
okay.
okay?
All right. Well, let's do that
But
because,
there may be way, but everything's gotta pass the inspections it needs to be, but there may be a way to help you do that,
okay.
okay?
Yeah, I think everything's good so far, except for I'm just waiting to get that letter.
But there may be a way to set up a foundation on it. So, and get some assistance doing that. But I haven't had a chance to reach. I was hoping you'd drop by. It's been on my mind since we talked. I did a little research on it and I just haven't had time to reach out and talk to you.
Okay.
But thanks for coming to this meeting, but it's, if you, like I said, if you come by the office tomorrow, I got maybe some places, the ideas that may be able to help you,
Okay.
okay?
All right. I'll stop by. What time would be best?
Be right after 8 o'clock or right after 10. I got a 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. I know for sure.
Okay. I'll be here at 10.
Okay, very good.
Okay. All right. Thank you, guys.
You bet. Have a good day.
Have a good
Tasha.
day.
Thank you. Any more communications from citizens? Executive session? Personnel exit interviews. Have a motion. Go into executive session.
Motion it.
Been moved by Councilwoman Hartke that we go into executive session. And can I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Councilman Weaver. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed. All in the affirmative. Can I have a motion to go back into regular session?
I'll make the motion.
Been moved by Council Lady Harkey, was on a regular session. Can I have a second? Nobody wants to go back in?
I guess no one's second, we adjourn.
Yeah.
I don't know what the procedure is for that.
I'll second motion.
Been seconded by Councilman Demick. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose same. Back into regular session at 7:42. Like
7:42. Good.
Consent agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Councilman Zent, second by Councilman Weaver. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor to approve the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, pose the same. Motion passed all in the affirmative. Resolutions. Chris, could you read our resolutions?
We have 3 resolutions for the ARPA infrastructure, water, wastewater. First one is 22-004, a resolution authorizing submission of an application to the State Loan and Investment Board for a grant through water and sewer ARPA grant program funding on behalf of the governing body for the town of Shoshoni for the purpose of water system infrastructure repair and improvement to ensure functionality and proper distribution of safe drinking water to the town of Shoshoni. Whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni desires to participate in the water and sewer ARPA grant program to assist in financing this project. And whereas the governing body for the town of Shoshoni recognized the need for the project, and whereas the water and sewer ARPA grant program required that certain criteria be met as described in the State Loan and Investment Board's rules and regulations governing the program. And to the best of our knowledge, this application meets those criteria. And now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni that a grant application in the amount of $1,131,400 be submitted to the State Loan and Investment Board for consideration at a State Loan and Investment Board meeting to assist in funding well and well house repair and improvement. Be it further resolved that Joel Highsmith, Mayor, Christopher Kojai, Clerk Treasurer, are hereby designated as the authorized representatives of the town of Shoshoni to act on behalf of the governing body on all matters relating to this loan application. Passed, approved, and adopted today, Tuesday, August 9th, 2022.
Any discussion? Or can I have a motion to approve?
That was just for A.
That was for day.
I
And
know,
we can approve it A, or we can do all 3 later.
since you just said. that was
Yeah,
just the one.
That's one.
I move we approve resolution number 22004 for SLIP ARPA monies.
Been moved by Councilman Zent that we approve resolution A. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman Hartke that we approve resolution A. Any other discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion passed all in the affirmative.
Resolution number 22-005. Same as previously read into the record with the following changes. Now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni that a grant application in the amount of $581,220 be submitted to the State Land Investment Board for consideration at a State Loan and Investment Board meeting to assist in funding water storage tank repair, improvement, and access. Be it further resolved that Joel Highsmith, Mayor, Christopher Kojai, Clerk Treasurer, are hereby designated as the authorized representatives of the town of Shoshoni to act on behalf of the governing body on all matters relating to this loan application. Passed, approved, and adopted today, Tuesday, August 9th, 2022.
Can I have a motion to approve resolution B?
I move we approve resolution 22 005 SLIB ARPA money.
Council Zent is motion to approve number 22-005 SLIB ARPA.
I'll second it.
Resolution B. Second by Councilwoman Hardkey. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative.
Resolution number 22-006. Same as previously read and recorded for the record, with the exception of now therefore be it resolved by the governing body of the town of Shoshoni that a grant application in the amount of $279,900 be submitted to the State Land and Investment Board for consideration at a state loan and investment board meeting to assist in funding SCADA system replacement. Be it further resolved that Joel Highsmith, Mayor, Christopher Kojai, Clerk Treasurer, are hereby designated as the authorized representatives of the town of Shoshoni to act on behalf of the governing body on all matters relating to this loan application. Passed, approved, and adopted today, Tuesday, August 9, 2022.
Can I have a motion to approve resolution C?
I move to approve resolution 22-006 SLIB ARPA.
Council Zen has moved that we approve number 22-006 SLIB ARPA as presented by, as read in their record.
I'll
Yeah.
second it.
It's seconded by Councilman Hardkey. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, approve resolution number 22-006 SLIB ARPA, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Oppose the same. Motion passed, all in the affirmative. Building permits. Herbert Brown.
I have a building permit for 313 Elm Street for an alteration repair of a residential building.
What's the what's the alteration?
They didn't notate it on here.
That's the yellow apartments.
Uh-uh. It's where Larry McCurry lived. Chris Davis bought it.
Yeah, it's,
It's right across from Steve.
yeah.
Okay. This is, well,
I think it's-
number, okay, I'm sorry, where's that? Yeah,
It's a White House. It's on.
yeah.
I believe they were fixing the exterior and the,
Yeah,
It was gutted
yeah,
previously.
yeah, Chris got it.
I don't,
Yeah,
nothing like height wise going up. Antenna or anything like
It's
that. just
multiple weird levels.
15, yeah, it's 15 feet at its max apex, and it's got that.
Well, it was part of it's dug out for half a basement.
Yeah, and then the other part is like an attached, it's like a
Yes.
garage or something.
Yeah,
I didn't understand the 9 rooms. I kept thinking it's gotta be it. I went through the home several years ago. We tore down part of it there.
yeah, you clean out all the junk.
Yeah, it's been-
Still got the framing of it
Yeah.
exposed.
yeah. Yeah, to the interior of it. So that's what's interesting. But I guess it's a remodel.
Yeah, they said,
That's why I wonder, why does he need a permit to remodel the interior?
If it's exterior, like a roof or whatever like that, but
But we don't know if it's doing that.
It looks like it says asphalt
Yeah,
You putting up any walls?
and drywall.
that's how I interpret it. If you move your, changing walls.
Right.
He's got down lap siding, drywall, asphalt shingles.
That's what it currently has.
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Just like on the foundation, it currently has
Mhm.
concrete.
He can give us,
It's been a plan with.
some of those walls with railroad ties. That makes the part. Yeah,
Alteration isn't notated, but it does check with repair, so I guess looking at the condition of the building, I'd imagine that the alterations meaning is finishing the job.
I move we approve the building permit for Herbert Brown.
I'll second.
Been moved by Councilman Zent, second by Councilman Weaver, that we approve the building permit for Herbert Brown. All, any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye. Aye, pose same.
We should ask, he's not the new owner, is he? Sorry, I guess it doesn't necessarily matter, but it has himself down as a contractor. And the permittee is Herbert Brown. So in county, it's still registered under Chris Davis. I don't know if that matters or anything, but
I was told it was sold.
so he must, so
Yeah.
we assume that even, so he's being his own
Herbert Brown sold it.
contractor. Okay.
Yeah, self doing it himself.
So,
Okay, down to new business. Emergency communications.
Call Chris.
They do. I did talk with Councilman Zent. It was after August 3rd meeting,
Yeah.
after the debate. We were talking about some of the carry on from the boil alert and some of the dissemination of information from that as a carry on for the previous council meeting. And so while we're discussing that, there was the need for a more cohesive plan being put down for me or whoever is here can follow a checklist to make sure that we're doing the best that we can to get all the information to everybody feasibly possible in a timely manner. And one of the things that we discussed briefly was, we have a multi-layered aspect now. We have that text alert number that's been actually catching on. I think we're up to 90 people now, so that's improvement.
Still haven't done it.
But then secondary, that's an instantaneous alert to whoever signed up for it. So that's one, but not everybody has a cell phone or checks it. And then the second one would be Facebook, our website, getting that information there. So some people that may not have a cell phone might see it there. The third layer would be posting it at visible places in town, whether it be Fast Lane, the library, senior center, senior housing, and the post office. And then the fourth layer is kind of what, that's pretty much the crux of our conversation, is what comes next after that. Is all that I know we talked about.
Well, on that meeting with mayor's discussion, Susan brought up the concept of the parks. If you're traveling through town, you stop at any park in town, bathrooms, you fill your water bottle up out of a sink or whatever, boil water on it. You have a valid point. Was that posted at the parks? And I said, I don't know. And so that was one part. The other part we discussed was social groups. So with my previous employment at school, we would have a calling tree. So you call one person, they call two, and those two call a couple more and go that way, or neighbor to neighbor, whatever. Those are other options to look at. But so we were blessed not to have, any bacteria in our water. But when he brought up about the parks, it completely went over my head.
Yeah, the water and the parks actually should be shut off.
Okay.
They should not be posted. Water should be shut off.
Okay. But no, they were not.
Yeah.
But, right, according to him, they were not, because it said some people in sprinklers.
Do we have drinking?
No, they
over
need to
there?
be shut, they need to be shut off inside the bathroom upstairs.
Theoretically,
I mean, you could, but is it a true drinking fountain?
no.
No.
But how many times did you take a water bottle, put it in the sink?
So what I wonder, because I think there's an interesting, so just because there's a spigot coming out of the ground over there, doesn't mean it's. So years, anyway, we had property years and years ago, it was sewer water. I mean, that's just, it was part of the.
Groundwater.
Sure, but there was, I mean, that's just what was used to water the.
They'll use the
lawns.
water of the softball field.
Yeah, so I mean, if you have a spigot coming out of the rest area that's potable or not potable, to me says this is, if it's a drinking fountain, I would say it's much, we gotta have a sign that says, just like what Fastlane has to do on their ice machine.
Right.
I think they're more talking about in the bathrooms
The
themselves
bathrooms.
than outside. Like we have the ones that are the spigots we have that are in the parks now, they have a padlock on them and they're locked at all times unless we unlock them for a drink or something like that. Because, but he was talking about that. But the part that I thought was maybe a good idea to consider with council would be, setting up some kind of formal thing where we either recruit, ask, designate, or kind of like a committee, but not necessarily a formal committee, but people on a call list that we can start that as one of our final things, just to make
Senior
sure.
housing.
Well, we
Well-
have contact, but
Should put a school on it as well. Because I talked to head custodian, he said, I didn't know anything about it until the next day.
What system does the school use?
School uses town water.
No, I'm sorry. They have an alert thing. So like when our kids go to school, basketball was canceled. I mean, you
it's
get,
similar to what we have. So, but they
they just have their
put your,
subscription.
they put your information in. So I could take anyone's phone numbers, I can add it to that call list without their permission and send it out. But I wouldn't do that. So the other way is for them to sign up. The school, when you sign up with your kids and then enroll your kids in school, you fill out that questionnaire
Uh-huh.
and then they add you to their system, which is comparable to what we have. But obviously, I would prefer people to take the initiative that if they want to get text messages. Last thing I want to do is put people on there and they get a alert message and they come to council ticked off because they didn't authorize me to send them a text message.
Boy, but at the flip side of that, there again, when your house is on fire, no one comes running out and say, get out of here. I don't like you guys.
It's
So if you treat it more like the telemarketing side, we put your number in because it's on public record. Opt out if you don't want this. I mean, if you don't want Amber Alerts, it's not, you can
Yeah.
opt out of it, but you're getting Amber Alerts because you live in America.
I can certainly do that. I can add everybody's phone number that I have to that list.
So I wonder if the good would outweigh the backlash. If you said, wow, there was 100 people and Tammy got signed up, didn't have to do anything. She's not gonna be mad about it versus the 10 people that say, I can't believe you did. They say, well, we took the 100 and risked the 10 that were gonna be mad at us. It might be very labor and I have no idea, but as far as say, this is what we did. We put everybody on there because some people complain. If you don't like it, opt out.
Yeah.
We do have some citizens that take their sovereign right extremely serious and they believe that their piece of property is a sovereign country. And yeah, those people that live here.
Then come to council.
Okay, I'll do it. But the other thing too would be having a calling list, at least before we leave. It wouldn't be a bad idea to just have that extra layer beyond what we
Sure.
have now.
I think the masses are gonna have cell phone.
Sure.
Masses are, there are going to be some that have a landline that, well, it's not gonna work, but
And having, like we were talking about, having redundant aspects where someone's notified 4 times in an emergency situation is not necessarily a bad thing.
no.
It doesn't hurt to have that redundancy in there. So I think we can do better with that.
And educate the public, you get this notice, call your neighbor.
Well, we paid for the software, and
Yes.
live in this town, and everybody's happy to have our drinking water, and they're happy to have a fire department, even if they don't like it, it's still.
Certainly add them in there. It's not that, I never thought about actually doing that, but I can do that.
Right.
I mean, I'm not telling you to do your job or anything, but,
I think it'd be a good idea.
I think it's a good idea too.
because there again,
Because we're not going to send messages like.
no, think about the people that call you today anyway. Sure, guys, please don't call me back. I have that privilege. And then on my phone, whether it's a text or whatever, block. If I don't want you to call me back, just block you. No harm, no foul. And I'm sure they're a great person on the other end doing their job, just not interested in what they want. So as a town, if we said, yeah, we paid for the software and we got really proactive, so
So that's,
you can do a test run.
this is a test.
This is a test. If you got an issue, same thing, you can notify, we're gonna do this test. If you don't get a message, maybe your number was bad or you changed the number, or we're just trying to all we can to help the masses, because you can get 90%
I think
with
so.
layer number 1. I mean, we can go push the button at the fire hall and most people are going to hear it. Some people won't have their ears in and they won't.
I agree. I can do that and I can start working on some community leaders outside of council, but people that are well versed and drive around the community a lot, tell people lots of stories and talk to people a lot. Adding them to a list of people to notify, to help spread the word.
Tell them it's some form of petition, jump all over it. This is a petition for the mayor. They don't have to say what it is, it'll just freely.
Anything else?
Like Mike's idea. Opt out.
Not suggesting that Chris, you have to take the ball. Maybe someone can help you
delegate.
on this
Thing is, they
process.
should be able to just transfer from water
We had,
into the system with no problem at all.
Maybe as far as Chris being the one that gets to sit down, this is a buddy deal. Hey, Chris can do it. This was in your description, I'm sure.
somewhere in there, I'm sure.
Okay, well, we got a plan to move forward with. That's a good thing. Turn a bad thing into a good thing. Job description, temporary positions.
Should have it on your email. It's essentially the wastewater water operator job description that we currently have with a few minor changes. Specifically that it's temporary and it's and/or. So it can apply to water or wastewater individually, not having to have someone with both. And it's designated as a temporary position to address our current needs of
Our temporary,
water operator positions. But it doesn't, the biggest change on it is that it doesn't say within 1 year. It says that they have to have it, obviously, to do it. And it took out some of the redundant day-to-day stuff that they would be doing on a daily basis, since they're contracted just for that aspect.
Does the town have self-contained breathing apparatus? We have SCBA's,
Well, we're supposed to have one to go down a hole, so.
but do we have them?
No.
And do we give people colorblind tests?
No.
That's interesting. How do we know if they qualify?
They say they're not colorblind.
Yeah, they got me in trouble. I'm colorblind. It's every time I get CDL test, oh, it's bad days. For real. Mhm. But that's interesting, the SCBA.
But we currently have vaults that are downstairs that there are two persons.
Sure, I mean, it seems that we have it, but
We have to have that in there.
we require people to have it, but we don't. And I say it might be, may or may not be off topic, but something like this. I don't know if this would be relative to the accident we had a year ago, where we have, if someone comes back and says, well, we didn't know he was colorblind, well, we put it in our minutes, and we guess we didn't test him, that we just figured he knew what red was and green was, and he pushed the wrong wires together and blew up the town. Or, yeah, we hired him and I don't know, it's just we live in a weird little world right there. 50 pounds a game, it seems 50 pounds is good.
So the physical requirements are just from OSHA for our system, because we are down all, we have to have that. And all of this is saying is they can breathe, that they don't have emphysema, COPD that would inhibit their ability to use a self-breathing scuba.
So they don't have know how to put it on themselves.
That's not what it shows. It just, they have to, that's their
They have to be able
physical, this is the physical requirements they could, if they need.
if they receive proper training.
Yeah, it doesn't say that they're already trained. It just says that basically it'd be like you have to be able to lift 50 pounds.
Sure. So I guess you'd say the same thing, differentiate colors. So when I take my colorblind test, I fail the book test. they pull out highlighters and you say, that's a yellow highlighter, that's a green highlighter, that's a pink highlighter.
Is that because it says yellow, pink, and green on the side?
They used to. Not anymore. But their concern is that I can see a stop sign, a stoplight, red and green.
Right.
Not if I can see a rainbow, but
Top and bottom. That's all I have to remember.
some of them are, they go sideways in different states.
Yeah.
They've thought of it all, but anyway, sorry, just
No. But those are the physical descriptors, not the previously trained in necessarily. But I could certainly do an eye test to ensure that they can.
most of us aren't that special at a unicorn like me, but every once in a while. Because it comes out in the weirdest moments. I'm telling you, go cut that green wire and you come back, why'd you cut the red one? I don't know. It didn't. Yep.
Any further? Do we need a vote to amend?
Add it to our.
Yeah,
Add it to our position.
add that description and pay scale to our,
Is this position always going to,
It'll be on our rolls as a temporary position.
so as a temporary position, it falls under supervision of the mayor as a temporary position versus a full-time would go back to the,
We don't have a department head.
we don't have a
but
department.
when we
head,
had it, so with a department head, we wouldn't.
Correct.
Correct.
Yeah, we'd have to modify that.
Right.
But hopefully when we have a department head, this position wouldn't be funded. or needed.
Based on where we're at right now today, you're the boss man for the.
I have a question on the salary range. It's not the amount. It's that every time we go over these job descriptions, we end up changing them. Can we somehow reword this? A salary level range currently at, but the town has the option to modify this at a later time.
So on the salary range, yes, but we already have that ability. So all I need is a council just to give me the authority to change that,
Okay.
and I can change it like that. We don't have to redo the whole
Okay.
thing. It's just,
just change.
these are just set, these are what's currently approved. And
So-
that way, when I do budgets and if as a department, I hire somebody, I can't exceed that number. I can't say, I'm gonna pay you $35 an hour. It doesn't work like that.
This is, you could widen that, but then it's got a fair amount of range, but if it exceeds that, it's got to go in front of council before we exceed that range.
Okay.
To the governing body, we all got to agree on
I was
it.
just trying to save you some.
Right. I know. So in the
You know, I'm
future,
not
like,
like this guy.
yeah, well, okay, say in the future, we have a budget meeting and we say, okay, everyone's gonna get, we're gonna readjust the pay scales $1 and everybody's gonna get a $1 pay raise. Then all these pay scales, low and high, would go up $1 and then, or we're gonna do across the board 5%, and these would adjust 5%, just whatever.
Right.
Yeah, and then all I would do is just reprint that, or not reprint, I just change it on the website, and then I would update the date that it was passed and approved.
That's my question on it. But I move we approve the job description for water wastewater operator that's temporary.
I'll second it.
Moved by Councilman Zent, second by Councilwoman Hartke, that we approve the job description, the water wastewater temporary positions. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed on the affirmative. Excuse me. Shoshoni land annexations.
That was you, Mr. Mayor, talking about the need to possibly annex the rest of our town-owned land that is not currently in town limits, mainly the airport.
Yeah, I think I don't know why we haven't done that in the past. And just looking at, and while we're doing this, I don't know if we, may reach out if we're in Nixon to any people that live near or joining to city limits that, the town, we can't offer them city streets and sewer or none of that probably, but we can offer them some I had one person talk about law enforcement that Chris could touch better that they'd be better able to patrol it's city and not county first. But I don't know, or we just do what the city own but I don't know while we're doing this, if that's something the governing body would like to look at or not, or I thought I'd just bring that up. Any thoughts or?
Let's see, going south, we really don't have much to annex.
A little bit, but not bad.
Well,
Tiny bit.
yeah, kind of much. Going north, clear up to,
Most places, or Backwater.
yeah, there's places all the way through there.
I don't know if anybody out there wants, but maybe somebody does.
Well, I'm thinking who, like Betty Powell or Bubble House. And Coulter's. Geises, Browers, yeah.
Do we want to offer them that?
I think that's something we should, give that.
I'm just thinking.
I bet they would take it though.
Yeah, I think motion would take it because then you say, what about my land, how's it zoned?
Sure.
I mean, they're to that, I think you have that, they're just too far out as far as what's the value. They'd be more, they don't gain anything. I don't suppose.
No, really, only thing maybe property tax. Yeah, well, the town would gain a little property tax. They would gain maybe better law enforcement coverage if they have an issue. If there's an emergency, I think Chris after that, but he's going anyway. But just normal stuff, they would gain that. And if we do continue to expand somewhere in the future, it may open up to other benefits as we move forward there. I mean, it could lead into more benefits, sewer, water, and other.
Is your place? Your,
This town. So it goes, well, it depends on who you ask. That's a whole other conversation about that particular road. But the map shows that it goes up to the cattle guard crossing.
okay,
So we're in and the propane is in, and then from there it stops and goes. But then but the people that live down Second,
Yeah,
they're in as well with no, I think they're all on wells over there.
Yeah, well,
sewer.
septic. So like I said, they may or may not, but I just thought we may.
Sure, in the process of it. ask
Yeah, if we're in the
question.
process to ask them what we're doing, do it all at once. Like I said, we don't have a lot to offer, but some may or some may not, or they all may not. I haven't talked to, I had one person talk to me about police protection. I think they may have talked to Chris about that too, but other than that.
The airport seems to make sense. I would assume that was in.
yeah. I thought the
Assume
airport
that was a
was-
town.
Yeah, it's not. Should be.
What would they have to go to the FAA and that? Would that be more extensive?
Well, that's,
I think it's just more paper, Chris, I like that idea.
yeah, what I do.
I'm just following you. Lee.
Well, basically, if it's in the county, we do anything, we probably have to deal with the county and not the town. I mean, and it's actually YDOT controls, that's who the aviation is through YDOT and then through aviation, the feds, but state side, it's YDOT for funding and stuff like that. You go through YDOT. YDOT inspects our airstrip and they have their inspections. It's all wide, that's part of YDOT. Why YDOT, I don't know, but it is.
It's transportation.
Yep.
So I move that we go forward with the annexation of this airport. Just the airport.
Just the airport.
I'll second it.
Any? Okay, been moved by Councilman Zent, second by Councilman Hartke, that we move forward on annexation of just the airport or all city-owned properties.
I think for right now, today, we can do we don't have to call anybody and ask if they want it,
Yeah, just the airport.
just the airport. And then
Well, so we haven't really defined other city properties, town properties. As you said.
I think,
Just the airport.
I think that, so I wouldn't say table necessarily, but I think right now you can get a motion to do the airport, that's defined space. And then we would probably need to put on a list the following addresses annexed in.
Oh, look at them. Okay, yeah, I haven't looked at that either.
But for now, I would
Right.
support the motion to bring in the airport because it does it affect the neighbors
No,
at all? This would matter to the school.
Just like when we annexed around the mushroom farm and those houses that are on the opposite side. That doesn't vary.
Any further discussion? Been moved in second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, the same. Motion passed. Thank you. Police report.
But just a couple things. July, obviously, traffic was picked up quite a bit, but as far as calls, pretty much equal to last year, call volume. We did have only one DUI and one warrant arrest, so which was good. However, during that DUI arrest coming back is when I hit a deer. But I didn't take the traffic crash on that one, so I get credit for that. We have been having an issue with animals getting out again. And so we've been boarding them and charging a boarding fee in lieu of a citation on the first offense. So we feed water to the animal, find the owner, and then return the animal, and they pay the boarding fee of $25 for boarding. But it's getting to the point that just giving citations, and then you give citations, then you give citations, then you give citations, and you have this dog in the middle of the heat for 8-10 hours a day. It's getting ridiculous. And I don't really know what else to do but take it to pause and let them deal with it there. But that kind of defeats the purpose of us trying to get the animal back to its owner. I don't know if maybe we need to relook at our ordinance on animals at large, multiple offenses. At what point does it become habitual? Is there something more we need to look at on that?
instead of looking at the police side, looking at the court side.
Exactly, yeah.
And so say, hey, first time, I'll suspend it. If you're caught again, I will fine you this much plus the one that was suspended. And then go that way and say, the third time, it's added upon. Up to $750 per bond.
That's where I was going with that, is right now our ordinance limits it at $50. It has a set number. That's the most it could ever get. So the 30th offense, still $50. We don't, so we might need to look at expanding the dog ordinance, allowing.
I thought it was $750.
That's the overarching, unless it has a set amount specified. So the judge has very little leeway on the animal. So that's, I say that we might need to relook at that ordinance on animals and take suggestions of what we can do to give more authority to the judge to be able to enter judgment on habitual offenders of dogs at large. But right now, unless the dog is vicious, there's no authority to take the animal, to deprive them of property, or exceed a fine more than $50. So it's very limited what we can do with the habitual. I'm not talking 1 or 2 or 3 times a span of a year. I'm talking daily, and sometimes multiple times a day. And it's very, very frustrating when we have the court side has very limited abilities to do it, and apparently issuing fines doesn't deter it. So at least not at $25 or $50.
So we have the top paid employees to, it seems like to be a theme in this town, of it- all this qualified labor, and they're off chasing the pettiness of.
Doggies. But I
All right,
realize,
so I don't entirely know what options you could have. You say, well, we don't have an animal control person. Maybe someone wants to be the new. So I'd be on your side of saying the once, the twice, the third, fifth. There again, if that means Chris has to go pick up somebody's dog instead of doing
anything else?
priority ABC, that seems cheating the town out of your talent.
And sometimes, well, I don't know if talent pushing a button is, but you know, there are other talents.
Someone's gotta go check, feed it water, you gotta feed it, it's your job to feed it.
Well,
Was that in your job description?
No, it is not.
Do you want that in your job description?
I would prefer not to,
Oh, no.
but it's just chasing them down. Sometimes some of the dogs are skittish and they don't want to come, and it can be time consuming getting a dog wrangled up that is that way. So so I would definitely want to look at maybe altering the ordinance.
Boy, I'll bet the money's not the. Can't pay it, you can't pay it. It seems like
That's where having some teeth in the ordinance and the power to the judge to have that.
what does it take to get the dog to Riverton?
2 hours.
Yeah.
Minimum.
Probably, yeah, I mean, it's,
That falls under you.
or one of the officers, if there's a second one working at that
Oh.
particular time, which usually there isn't, but sometimes there is for a few hours, but
This is the surgeon sleeping the floor kind of stuff, in my opinion. If it's a ongoing thing. You gotta cut bait on the stuff you're supposed to, I mean, can do here to run Lassie to town.
yeah, it is a problem and it does suck resources. But our only options right now are issue a citation to the owner when we find them. They pay a $25 or $50 fine and rinse and repeat.
Do they pay it?
Well,
Is it a court mandated you pay this fine, or is it a?
yeah, it's a citation with the court. They have to either show up to court, a court date, or pay the fine. There's, beyond that, though, there's not a lot more we can do. But the fine, like I said, caps out at $50.
So we change the ordinance. Let the judge have the option of saying, first time suspended, second time, it's this plus this, third time it's 200.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, change the ordinance.
So that the monies that come from something like that, does that go to the, into the town coffers?
It does.
So on the one hand, I would agree with that as far as if it takes your time, no problem, let's compensate the town for your time. Could have written a ticket, made $100 and say chase the dog, got 5, so. Get $200 to chase the dog, 2 tickets got away, then maybe it washed out.
That's why the impound fee is $25 a day, at least compensating for having to feed water at the time, but checking 3 times a day, and et cetera. That's separate from the citation. Okay, I can do that. And then the other issue we're having is juveniles. I just want to make a point that we're having political signs being stolen, picked up, defaced. And I hate to say that I have to address this issue, but That for one, it may be a political sign, but it's still A, property, B, it's trespassing, depending on where it's located. And if I find you, I'm going to cite you. I don't care if you're 12 or 15. It's ridiculous. So the kids and parents need to know that. Talk to your kids. I mean, I know it's walking around, you see a sign or whatever, but it's still somebody's property. It's still trespassing on somebody's property. And it will be addressed if you're identified. So
I just figured they were blowing down and Whiteout was taking them. That's funny to me.
no, these ones are actually in town.
They drawing you pictures?
Uh,
So
Yeah,
were they
White
drawing
Dog can't,
pictures?
White Dog can't legally take them in town.
Oh,
But it's,
but they're being
they're
being taken. to the-
Yeah, but not by White Dog, but yeah, somebody.
Yeah, I saw some laying in the road and stuff over by the RV park.
I mean, I know it happens every year.
And some
so I
blow
just wanna
down
bring
and-
it up.
And some blow down.
But I would agree. So now that to hear that, because I've seen spots where there's a sign there today. It's all of a sudden gone. And then it reappears.
Yeah.
Someone called me today, said, "Did you take down my sign?" I don't even know where you're at, man. No, I didn't take down your sign. I just thought you were mad at me. Don't know what you're talking about.
So I just wanted to bring that up and just.
Yep.
That, you know, it will be enforced. The law will be enforced as far as that goes for trespassing on someone's property and or theft or property destruction, depending on the circumstances. So those are pretty much the biggest issues that we're having right now. And obviously school's out of session, so get bored. Speeding down Maple, Oak and Pine. Just touch on that. Our app has been helpful. I did speak with one of the offenders yesterday. But we are going to start stationing in different spots between Pine, Maple and Oak. So I'm letting everybody know from 6 to 8, we'll be over there. So I'm done with the,
Maple would be fun.
I'm done with the people, the kids, whoever it is. I know who it is, some of the people, but there's no reason to speed on those side streets right now. There's between dogs, animals, people, kids walking around
Seniors.
right now, seniors, whoever, it just needs to stop. So I will let you know that we are enforcing that.
7:45 should be very fruitful.
I'll be by your house at 6:30, so.
It won't be as fruitful. 7:45 will be very fruitful.
And the one that you're busy by his house, right, and you can have someone up by my house and get the
Say
next
the ones
one.
that get away from
Yeah.
here, right down there. Yep.
And the funny thing is when we're sitting there, nobody speeds.
Well, don't park on Maple,
So we're gonna hide.
park at your house.
That's true.
I would say they can sit there and eat cereal in the morning and just, when school's in session, you just, I mean, we can pick out by the engine noise. This is who, I don't know who it is. I just know the color of the vehicle that's zoomed down. You can look at the time, say this one should be coming next.
And I with the complaints, I mean, that's one thing, but I also want to get ahead of the school coming up and getting ready for school, school being back in session and kids starting to drive. So I just want to get ahead of that. So we will be definitely enforcing that in the mornings. So
Practice to start
here next week, I believe.
15th.
Yep, next week. So
Yeah.
we're going to be doing that between 6 and 8 every morning.
Any
So
more,
speed on Second Street, I guess we won't be around.
anything else?
Nope, that's it.
Round table, you have anything for us? Bo?
No, not right now.
Tammy, do you have anything?
Yeah, I got something to bring up. We have a lot of these tree limbs all over town and we don't have a way to burn them. Is there any way that, like that dumpster you had in front of Thompson's, we could do something like that for the town so we could help them dispose of them?
I think,
Go ahead.
I think if it came to disposal of limbs, the easiest thing to do would be to have almost like yard cleanup in its own way. For this Saturday, we will accept limbs at this location. And then they can pile them up in a pile. And then for the sake of transportation or time. They could be loaded with an excavator. In the process, they would be broken up and squished down so you would get much better volume. They could be transported into Riverton. Even if the town did this, there's no charge for them at the Riverton. It's at the transfer station, but it's the city part of the transfer station. You won't get very much in the dump truck, but there's no disposal fee on it.
Right.
So we had anticipated on doing another town cleanup similar to that week we did last, was it May? With tree limbs and whatnot in the town yard. Obviously, the facilitating that right now might be a little difficult just with what's transpired in the last 2 weeks. But I will be getting with DEQ to put another burn day request in, so that get that is on my priority list to get that going. Hopefully here in the next month or so, whenever they'll allow us with that, and then also figuring out a way to get a similar process in place with a town cleanup week, similar where they can bring it down to the town yard for us to do exactly what you're saying, load it up and
What if they took them to the airport? We burned them at the airport.
not town property.
Yeah, but it's out of town limits. If we
Or
change our
town
mind,
limits, yeah.
for real, if you change your mind, I would assume the fire department would monitor it. We go to the school when they want to light the S on fire. We could probably, like I said, it is out of, at least.
Yeah.
Could be considered as far as it's not going to damage anything up there, but it's out of everybody's way.
I could look into how that would look, what we need to do, and if we'd be able to have, the fire department or something assist. That might be.
We do it for the bonfire for the school. The school does bonfires.
We have all that stuff in town hall, we can collect the town hall, then ship it out there, whatever the prescribed date, burn it and be done with it. Okay,
I mean,
can do that. Yeah.
because I don't know what it takes for the school to be able to do it. Maybe everybody just says, whatever, just do your thing. But when they do their bonfire, they usually station 2 trucks out there just in case, but they're burning. Well, if it sticks to limbs, so DEQ should have no issue anyway, but outside of town limits, the county can burn. They're not supposed to, but you can burn whatever you want.
Maybe have control burn. I'll look into it. I don't,
It would follow you, even if you ended up doing it in the winter time. I mean, just pick your time from doing it in November when the weeds are somewhat dry, but you could run around it, just make a fire ring with a tractor or excavator. I mean, something very simple,
that's essentially what we're gonna do.
but you're
At
dealing with
town
everybody
yard.
that's in town over here. People are out there,
That
if the
makes-
wind blows.
Oh, they're in the county right now.
There's a fire ban in the county right now, I think, but
There is. They just announced it last week.
as
Um,
far as something that, because
in the
if you
future.
get back to what you're saying, we're gonna have this day,
Yeah, drop it off here.
drop it off here, and we're gonna burn this night. It's a one-time deal instead of becoming the new drop of branches off at the airport or wherever the parcel would be.
Right, yeah, have them just drop it off to us at the town yard, and then we at a prescribed date, we'll load it up, take it out, burn it.
I mean, I don't know if the gun range or something, if there's other properties that are around it that say that would facilitate we got it today, we burned it tonight. It's very limited on the mess side of it, that.
I'd never really contemplated that, so I'll just, like I said, just make sure I cross my T's, dot my I's, but I can look into what that would look like and how we go about doing it. It
That'd
sounds
be-
pretty simple.
It would be cheap and easy as far as you said, well, we'll make a pile, then we'll rent a chipper. I mean, those kind of things, this is,
You didn't know it's the smallest limits. If you did at the airport, you may need permission from the FFA.
Yeah.
Oh.
Saying
Smoke.
if you.
If you did it on a runway.
Land here.
Well, put it by one of those old hangars. I mean, some of them are pretty dilapidated.
Yeah, I know.
Sure, the gun range would be another option.
like to decide what, I mean, they're getting the city limits versus out of city limits. I've seen mushroom farmers got a nice big pile. They'd sure like to burn, but DEQ told them no. I mean, their pile was wrong anyway, but they're still in town limits, yeah.
So I will make some calls and I'll see what we gotta do or how that would look.
The
They
other
had
option to put
processed lumber out there.
Would be the old White House that tore down.
And a little
On the west side.
more black stuff's in
West
that
side.
process.
Yeah.
lumber.
Yeah.
Mhm.
that'd be the location that we could. Outside town limits. Good idea. I hope.
Might be helpful. And it's-
Yeah.
There,
Just
the next thing will be, how do I get my branches out there? I've only got a pony.
But speaking of that, Tammy, the other thing that, been talking with Marshall, so there's a couple landowners that have, I don't know, mattresses and various other things like that, that they don't live there anymore, and we're gonna go through the process to clean that up. And
Oh,
after the
mattress.
landowner
If
might
they
not-
say vote for someone on it, can we still take it?
I don't know, would that be electioneering? I don't know. But that's also in the works because there's abandoned properties, no one's living in them, but they are just utterly trashed. And there's an owner of that property that is responsible for that. You know, they don't live there, they rent it out, but they're not gonna clean it up. How's that? I'm working with Marshall.
$100 on an attorney and $5 to get rid of the mattress.
I don't know how the fees will look, but that's what Marshall's working on.
Right.
I wish he was here so he could. comment,
Right.
but Anyway.
Anything else, Sammy?
No,
Mike?
I talked to I thought you were gonna mention this. Did you talk to the group that's doing the vacation Bible school and
Mm-mm.
is that you?
Mm-mm.
Oh, sorry. So there's a group that's been in town. They're not affiliated with the Wind River Church, but the church reached out. They're a volunteer group that's come here from North Carolina. They've been here yesterday, today, they leave tomorrow. In conversation with them yesterday, their goal is to come to these communities. They do vacation Bible school for the youth in the mornings, and then the last 2 nights they've done a barbecue for the town. Nice people, that's what they're doing. They asked if they could help. They would like to come back again. What they asked was they'd like to do building projects in town. One of the questions we asked was, would they have to get individual building permits? I said, if you're gonna show up and do good, just go do, because you're here such a short time. They said, well, if we were gonna help somebody fix their steps or do something, just these little projects, I said, I'm sure you'd be just fine. Because they got a lot of, they got good people that show up, and but that was brought up. They wanted to look at coming back next year. 'Cause I guess they were here a year ago. Something. But I said, if they want to swing by town hall, contact local mayor and say, this is when we'd like to come back, and these are some of our ideas.
Yeah, I swung by and talked to him.
I had dinner yesterday. It was good.
Yep.
they're the
Best
ones that
Walmart
gave the
food ever.
backpacks for the schools, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walmart chicken yard.
Yeah, they had nice hamburgers. They had good baked beans. But anyway, that was good. It was interesting conversation talking with, there wasn't a huge support from the community as far as during the dinner time. That wasn't necessarily their goal. It was just making it available. But I said, it was interesting to see how the approach of the church has been good to blend. It's brought some people together. It's helped erase some division as far as it's not this team, this team, this team. It's just, so I talked with the pastor that was there. Anyway, it was interesting to see what they're doing. It was good utilization of the space and what they've done down there. Anyway,
Yep.
They were happy to be here. Flew to Denver and drove to Shoshoni. I said, why Shoshoni? How'd you find it? And they said the pastor reached out. Here they were.
And Pastor Tom reached out to them and they came. Yep.
But they would like to do more. They stay at a place at Missouri Valley where they stay for the few nights here, and then they come into town and just try to help. So it's interesting. It's interesting to see. I mean, it was just nice to see someone that wasn't just to talk about it. This would be a good idea. I mean, they're there with their shirts saying, "Can we help you?" It's good for you guys. That's what I had
That was Saturday, wasn't it?
yesterday.
It was
They,
yesterday.
they were here Saturday.
They're here tonight.
Okay, that's, okay, I remember seeing them.
Their shirt says cow, CTO.
Okay, yeah.
CTO.
Okay.
Yeah, they were here Saturday. They actually had something going on down at the Centennial Park Saturday.
Well, that's right, because the activity that was going on.
Right, correct.
Yeah, that's why I was asking, because I saw them out with the
Yeah.
barbecue and stuff.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or free food, whatever.
Anything else, Mike? Bob?
I don't remember anything.
Land sale, we jumped through all the hoops on our sale to Dwayne Raymond on the 5.5 acres. We need to call for a special meeting to move that forward. When can we legally call that? Is that the 12th or
The 11th,
11th?
Thursday at 7.
What would be the outline of that meeting? Saying these are our stipulations that he has to do, or just say this is I need more information about what this meeting is going to be about.
So it will be, this is what was appraised, this was what was presented for the plan, and then whatever the council in consideration of that plan puts out there, and then if he doesn't accept it,
So we can put conditions on it.
Yes.
So last time we discussed, it was the access from the highway.
Mhm.
Has
Sure.
that been resolved?
he won't be able to have access from the highway. That was resolved.
Yeah.
White House. As of right now, in the future, maybe, but right now, no.
So he only has one access point.
Yes, correct.
Okay. And those are the type of questions that, I would put stipulations on. So, size of building, what he wants to build, does he need an economic development plan? Those type of things. Are those going to be discussed at that time?
Yeah, he should be presenting us a business plan.
Okay.
That what he's moving forward. He's already got his building, so he'll discuss the size of that, stuff like that. We don't want to sell it to a speculator. It's going to sit on it for 10 years. I believe he may start construction this fall. I believe that's what is going to happen, but we can make that a stipulation in a timely, he needs to do it in a timely manner.
Okay.
What's
Go ahead.
Yeah, what's the infrastructure? Is he gonna be, is he gonna be required to put in curb and gutters? Is he required to put in lighting?
I mean, when they put it in school, they never put in lighting or sidewalks.
So I guess the conversation should be not, because this is the same conversation I think we would have with any property that comes up. What are we going to, because whatever we require, if this is our first real deal, then
Sure.
if we say, well, this one over here, this needs lights going all the way around it. Well, you guys didn't do it down there. Oh,
Mhm.
well, so I don't know if this is the good guinea pig. If it's easier to say, do this and maybe we'll lighten up later, or we're just happy you're here and
Well, it's, the access road, the old highway that's going there right now. That's what the access road is. That's probably needs to be improved at some time in the future and probably widened and made a street. He's a contractor, I think we work with him on that. I don't, I know he plans to build a septic system, but we do have city water that he can access. He's sort of out there by himself. The property directly east of that, we never planned to do anything with that. That's sort of reserved for signage and stuff like that. We got some water lines we want to be able to access. Is why we saved that land there. Could get something developed further west possibly. Across the street will be across, the road, the street. What we do with that is primarily, we were, is part of our acreage where we may have a couple things could be where we have 1-2 acre spots where people can have homes, can go up, but that close there, is that gonna be a pathway we're gonna allow? I know we kicked around keeping an area. We haven't designed that yet, where we're gonna put an area where people can ride horses. Is that gonna be there, or is that area is gonna be in the center? I know the state of Wyoming Parks has some interest in teaming with us on working on trails, possibly where they allow horses in the state park. They can, people that live there, but also people come by and park their horses if they have it. So sometimes if we have people that need a place there, in Shoshoni, sometimes they put them down at the rodeo ground. They're part of that, could be part of that subdivision to have a community area where a person could go ride horses. Could be part of the plan for that area.
I think Bob's right on. Like I said, if this was if it was a subdivision, so I think if this was a Riverton deal, they'll let people do whatever they want. But if you want to do a subdivision, it comes with all these amenities first: your power, your sewer, your water, your asphalt, your curb, your gutter, and then you can, if you're not running out of money, then you can start doing what you want to do. So I don't know. We draw our. We push for improvements. I mean, it's not about trying to shut the guy down before he gets started, but for the same token, do we?
Well, we'd have to, I guess, decide on what is important for that site.
What's important for him? What's important for us?
But if we have only one building there, if the town can afford to do a whole bunch of improvements there. That
Right.
we know, right?
Right.
And not at this time.
It'd be hard to pave the road down to
Right.
the pub or grill,
Yeah.
whatever we did versus.
No, not.
But if that's the expectation. So if both parties know, say, if you want to asphalt the entryway, they're by all means, we'd love for you to
You
do
do
it.
it.
But if you come to the town and say need an asphalt road,
Right.
we're not-
Yeah, we can't do
we'll
that.
let you tap into the water, but we're not going to dig your water line for you. Or-
Right.
That's where I think Bob's at. What stuff do we put in? I think some things matter. Say, if you're not broke ground or showing significant progress in 365 days, then
So, yeah, because the reason the price is what it is, I don't know
Correct.
what it is,
Uh-huh.
because of economic development,
That's
you're gonna
right.
build something.
and that's something they're going. So I don't know what we're not that town that says you've got to do this color and this many trees, but I think there's somewhat of an expectation of this is my building, this many square feet. Okay, that's what we know going into it. Things will
Right.
modify versus how do we end up with 3 teepees over here, guys? I just don't
Sure.
understand that. Well, you guys didn't ask what kind of building I was going to build.
And if more business gets where it's gonna develop out there, there may be options from other builders and grants from the state of water to develop it also. But just for right now,
I think you're right. Where the price is what it, in real estate, someone sets the price, someone sets the terms.
right,
So he set his price. If we accept his price at what it is far below market value. So if we set the terms, and I
right,
guess if that's what our meeting is about, whether that's negotiation of we'll accept your price, but these are our requirements. Well, I don't want to do that, or yes, I will
Sure.
do that. I think that would be. There again, if the community shows, I mean, it's a good opportunity for the community to show up and say, it wasn't just the council shoving this thing through. Say, it was open mic night, come
Well,
listen, come
correct.
here.
correct.
No different than what they've done across the street. There's their building plan. If you guys want to know what it looks like, look over there.
Yes,
And that's kind of the other side of it as far as their building, there's their plan.
right,
So I'm not saying he needs an engineered 100-page ring binder is what I'm building, but a napkin with some ketchup on it might not be sufficient either. So there again, something in good faith, let him advertise, let him show what he's going to do.
mhm,
So I guess your question is, when we want to do this meeting.
Correct.
And in having that meeting, it might be that we agree 100%, or it might be, it's like a pre-sell.
It has to be every 3 weeks. It's always been along.
Yeah. Yeah, August 11th, that's, we follow the legal, we advertised it through the paper, so we're locked into that August 11th
For the hearing
for the
or the meeting.
meeting.
For the public hearing for
Yeah.
consideration. Yeah. Because we had to notify the public for 3 consecutive weeks of the specific time and place that they could.
But that won't force us to, like, if there was unanswered terms or unanswered questions or terms that we need, you don't necessarily have to slam your gavel that day and say so.
Not only 11. We have 3 hearings.
No, just
I thought we have to have 3.
it's just one public hearing.
Okay.
But it has to be.
We've advertised for 3 weeks.
Without Marshall here, I don't know if it could be, that was the public hearing and then the final decided later. I don't know that aspect. of things. My first process going through that intricacy of it, if it has to be. But once the public hearing is facilitated, can it be decided at a later date, or is that,
It can be tabled.
I don't know.
As it would be nice for it not to turn into a negative experience as far as I would say that there might not be a lot of questions from the council, but there might be a few.
I think tabling it for, on his side, just from talking to him, what he's been waiting on with the bank and things like that, I think that would negatively impact his ability to go forward from his perspective, looking at us.
Can you provide the bank information for us?
Well,
That's-
one of the things, interest rates are going up, so if he has a locked-in interest rate, we table those interest rates, he'll be charged additional fees on those interest
Well,
rates.
so I mean, coming from the due diligence side of, I've come to you guys' meeting, here's my business plan, everybody. Here's my bank note that says I really need a decision on this by the 11th, because this is instead of just talking from the podium.
Right.
So-
Yeah, I feel if we give him an X amount of days to do the job, we've done that. I don't know if we can expect, right, I think he's gonna want to improve that road. He's a contractor. I think we can work with him on that. We don't want at this time to incur a bunch of expenses for the town. And if we try to force too much on him, it'll be too costly for him to do the job.
But I think it's fair to expect a business plan come this
Oh, yeah.
meeting.
Well, I do too.
And so my expectation is something more than a napkin and a good idea. I mean, a lot of businesses are born that way, but there again, I think we can be professional. It's up to us to
Right.
say, you've done your part. We're here to help.
Yep.
And
This is economic development and we need to take a look at that.
it doesn't have to be a
He
3
did give us a rough draft. He should give us a little better.
But basically, if you're not able to answer your questions, your satisfaction, then
Sure, so we can get in the meeting, I mean, push for approval instead of it being that we're not trying to turn the guy away. Time sensitive, sure, some things have taken time, but if he comes to it, if he's able to say, I gotta go in and going for my job interview.
kind of,
thing.
yeah, he's got to be able to present to you.
And
What
if we don't come prepared, then that's on us. I mean,
Right,
if we show up and say, I don't know, you guys got any questions? Then sure, it's,
sure.
hit the gavel and we didn't do our part, but ideally, both sides will do their part. The community would like to show up, hopefully, to say, this is great. Someone wants to come build in our town, and they'll ask questions, maybe give some
Sure.
input. Probably won't happen, but be nice.
sure, at least one will.
Anyway,
So this needs to be on this Thursday is when the meeting is.
Thursday at 7.
Early Thursday at 7.
Not Orland, done with that job tomorrow.
but luckily it'll be the only thing on the agenda.
Yeah. Won't be talking about anything.
Heard that before.
Well, somebody adds it. That's.
Special meeting
Well,
can't have.
yeah, you can't add. That's right. So. No other question. Anybody got anything else to add? A motion to adjourn.
So
Don't all jump at once.
I'll move.
Councilman Demick moved to adjourn. Can I have a
I'll
second?
second it.
Councilwoman Hartkey, second to be adjourned. Any further discussion? None being, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, the same.